A voice urged the boy to open his eyes. Confused, he fluttered his eyelids and wondered aloud about the identity of the speaker. The mysterious figure then revealed an astonishing truth, claiming to have come from a different world. Suddenly, an odd stranger began to call out's name. Confused, looked around, wondering where he was and how the stranger knew who he was. She paid him no attention and continued, insisting that everything was happening just as fate intended, and that those responsible for bringing here understood more than they let on. The radiant golden light surrounding him served as evidence that he was the long-awaited hero. A royal order had pulled him into a strange new world, a place overrun by sinister monsters appearing at every turn. At the exact moment's name was called, the Demon King made a sudden appearance. With determination in his eyes, the hero prepared to unleash his abilities, ready to confront the Demon King and restore peace to the land. Let out a laugh, admitting he believed he had been dreaming, and then he turned to the crew with a question about the whereabouts of his group of heroes. A member of the summoned squads reported that a major ceremony was taking place at the Grand Cathedral, where participants would be chosen to serve as the hero's support team. Appeared less than enthusiastic, prompting the others to inquire about his mood. However, dismissed their concern, insisting it was nothing important, and asserted that he would be the hero from that moment onward. In another location, a girl gently rouses a boy from his sleep. She informed him that the morning had already arrived. The boy slowly begins to stir, lingering in bed as he gradually wakes up. The girl begins to issue warnings in a menacing tone. All at once, he flashes a mischievous smile as his eyes snap open, revealing that he'd been conscious longer than anyone realized. The girl, caught off guard by this revelation, reacts with surprise. He chuckled, claiming he had simply been waiting for Laura to enter and rouse him from sleep. Unimpressed, Laura dismissed his excuse and informed him that breakfast was prepared. They walked downstairs for a meal, and the boy wondered aloud about their mother's whereabouts. The girl explained that she had gone to see a friend. Laura happened to be Ark's younger sister, although the two of them did not share any biological ties. When he was just 2 years old, his biological mother died. Later, his father, a woman who had also suffered the loss of her spouse. She came into the family with her own daughter, Laura. At breakfast, the girl observes that Ark appears distracted and lost in thought. The girl wondered aloud if the boy was aware of the day's special event, and he responded with a silent nod to show that he understood. The ceremony marked the moment when special powers first began to emerge. During this ceremony, individuals discover their unique abilities, which then guide the selection of their future professions. Laura is impressed that he still remembers. Once breakfast was finished, they made their way to the cathedral for the next part of their day. As they walked, the girl called out to the boy, catching his attention. She wonders aloud whether he feels anxious about the events of the day. Although Ark feels somewhat overwhelmed, he attempts to convince everyone that he is calm and collected. Laura laughed and remarked that he was not convincing at all, while the boy responded with a timid grin. The girl wondered aloud about the strange expression on his face, but he brushed off her concern, insisting that it was nothing. Once he finished his meal, he went outside to put on a fresh set of clothes. The boy quickly drapes a cloak over his shoulders and prepares to make his exit. The moment they exit the building, they bump into another person. A girl greets Laura and Ark with a cheerful good morning. She felt a surge of excitement as the ability awakening ceremony approached. A longtime friend of Ark and a girl who works at the boutique observes that the siblings appear somewhat nervous. Ark's friend notices a change in his demeanor and wonders if there is a problem, but Ark dismisses the concern, acting as if nothing is wrong. Ark felt a wave of anxiety wash over him as the situation unfolded. Sensing his nerves, his sister pressed her foot onto his, anchoring him in the moment. Meanwhile, Laura reminded Ark to stay alert and notice every detail. Assured the group that, if any trouble arose, her expertise as a pharmacist would allow her to supply them with necessary medication. However, Ark remained steadfast, confidently denying any feelings of nervousness. Without warning, a voice rang out, seeking Ark and Laura's attention. The sisters had arrived. Stood beside Fanon. The two of them had known each other since they were children. They can hardly contain their excitement as the day begins. Ark remembered the previous year, recalling how the neighboring district had been chosen then, but now the opportunity belonged to their own district. He didn't mind if the ceremony lasted a long time. He simply wanted to savor every moment. Explained that their options were limited because of the law, while Fanon used the moment to give Ark a hug. Insists that she should give him some space. Despite this, she finds spending time with Ark to be very enjoyable. Laura reached out her hand toward, offering her available hand for to hold. Laura cautioned Ark, urging him to be careful with his words and avoid saying anything foolish. At the same time, observes how the group shares a strong bond. Laura had shared a close friendship ever since childhood. Among the group was the girl Ark secretly admired. The girl gazes at the boy, curiosity evident in her eyes as she poses a question. Art noticed that something was off, realizing the boy was simply standing still, his gaze lost in the distance. Feeling a bit embarrassed, Art mumbled that it wasn't a big deal. He was only daydreaming about what sort of ability he might receive. Curious, then wondered aloud about which skill he would choose if he had the option. Ark expresses his desire for a useful skill that could benefit him later on, specifically wishing for something impressive, such as the ability to create medicines. With a mischievous glint in her eye, joked that she always assumed boys only cared about fighting abilities. Ark quickly responded, dismissing the usefulness of fighting abilities and making it clear that he preferred a calm and peaceful approach to life. The girl nods in agreement, suggesting that if he manages to acquire a reliable skill, there might be a chance for them to work together as a team. Hearing those words, Art blushes and looks away, suddenly feeling bashful. Simply offers him a wide grin. Arkansas felt extremely anxious. He hoped to earn an impressive ability and, if successful, intended to support. Amused, couldn't help but laugh and questioned whether he was being serious. She teased him, suggesting that he could lend her a hand and act as her support. Resting her head gently against his shoulder, she softly confided that this was the kind of devotion she hoped to find in her future spouse. She moved away, causing Ark to become visibly flustered. Embarrassment washed over him as he stumbled over his words, and his face flushed a deep shade of red. Laura walked over to him, commenting on his unusual appearance. Ark grabbed his sister by the shoulders, his actions revealing his confusion as he wondered aloud whether he might be dreaming. Nearby, urged both her and Fanon to relax and quit their playful teasing, drawing attention to the noticeable flush spreading across Ark's cheeks. Brimming with excitement, announced that the whole group had arrived and declared it was time for them to head to the cathedral. She inquires whether everyone has prepared themselves for the upcoming ceremony. Could hardly contain his excitement, expressing his enthusiasm with a loud, jubilant cheer. The crew entered the cathedral as a group, their anticipation building as they prepared to begin the important event. The entire town was crowded with people. Excitement filled the air as everyone eagerly anticipated what was about to happen. The ceremony taking place inside the cathedral was incredibly elegant and sophisticated. Ark was amazed by how impressive the place appeared inside. Explained that this was an area they were normally not allowed to access. Ark advised Laura to stay calm, but she insisted that she could handle things on her own and didn't require his assistance. Suddenly, the great priest makes his entrance. The elderly man announced that, since everyone had gathered at the cathedral for the sacred event, the moment had come to begin the skill awakening ceremony. Through the sacred strength bestowed by the goddess Astarte, anyone whose name was announced was expected to come forward. The priest called out the initial participant chosen to begin the skill awakening ceremony. The character greeted with a simple hello. The girl felt her pulse quicken as her name was announced before anyone else's. Ark found himself unable to resist teasing her, wondering aloud if she felt any nerves. She responded with a determined expression, instructing him to focus on her and expressing her hope that her abilities would prove impressive. The priest instructs to shut her eyes while standing before him. He claims that the goddess Astarte has granted her a divine ability. At the same time, notices an unfamiliar sensation growing within her. The priest's expression shifted to one of astonishment as he caught sight of something unexpected. Gazing into her, he discovered the presence of a renowned warrior's spirit hidden deep inside. The warrior had always stood by the hero's side, unwavering in loyalty and prepared to face the demon king together. The priest suddenly declared that talent was serving as the Princess Blade who battles at the hero's side. Hearing this, her friends reacted with shock and disbelief. Felt a wave of confusion wash over her as the priest instructed her to take a specific path. She wonders whether someone might be playing a prank on her. She believes that heroes exist only in stories told to children. At the same time, the priest summoned Fanon to step forward so she could demonstrate her ability. Her unique power was revealed to be standing beside the hero and using the sacred bow. Fanon, filled with excitement, eagerly shared with her sister that she had gained an impressive new skill. Afterward, the priest summoned Laura to step forward. With and Fanon having left, Ark felt sweat trickle down his face as he silently prayed that his sister's name would not be chosen to accompany the hero, his heart filled with desperate hope that she would be spared from selection. The priest rested his hand gently on Laura's head. He struggles to grasp the reality of the situation unfolding before him. Suddenly, the priest calls out her name and proclaims her renowned ability as the powerful sorceress who supports the hero. Ark could hardly believe what he was seeing, his thoughts racing as he tried to figure out how everyone had abilities that aligned them with the hero's. Confusion and doubt swirled in his mind as he struggled to make sense of the situation. During a peaceful era, the desire was simply for ordinary abilities that would allow for a relaxed and uncomplicated life. The priest gestures for Ark to step forward, signaling that it is now his turn. He reflects on how everyone significant in his life possesses abilities that align them with the hero. He hopes to receive similar treatment. The old man explained that Ark possessed the Radiant Shield, a powerful artifact designed to safeguard farmers' fields from any disasters. The boy is astonished to discover that he has acquired a farming skill. Once they received their abilities and assignments, the townspeople greeted the newcomers warmly, while Ark remained quiet and said nothing. The group joined the hero's team and began their journey toward the castle, where the king awaited their arrival. A short while earlier, the priest had revealed to Ark that his power was known as the Radiant Shield. None of his friends can find the words to respond, leaving them in stunned silence. The boy felt disappointed, believing that fighting abilities were not his strength, and now he was simply left feeling discouraged. He disappeared into the bustling crowd, becoming just another face among many. Attempted to start a conversation, though the boy dismissed it by claiming his skill was nothing special. Feeling uneasy, Laura turned to the priest and inquired about the team's next steps now that they had joined the hero's squad. The elderly man mentions that they need to deliver a report to the king, but his words are interrupted when a voice suddenly calls out to him. The priest wanted to know who had arrived. A group of soldiers burst into the cathedral, immediately drawing the eyes of everyone present. The soldiers insist on quiet, asserting their authority as the revered knights who serve the kingdom of Plum. A teenage boy approached and announced that the girls would be part of his team. Ark glanced over and was completely stunned by the person standing before him. The priest explains that the ceremony is holy, and despite their status as knights, they are required to leave. Offered an apology for interrupting the gathering, explaining that curiosity had driven him to see the situation firsthand. As he reached for his sword, the sudden movement startled the priest, causing him to flinch. The man announced his arrival, stating his purpose was to find those blessed with ancestral powers who had received a divine message, revealing him as their hero. Shock spread across the room as everyone stared in disbelief. Loudly proclaimed he had been brought from another world, proudly introducing himself. The priest stared in shock as the sacred sword hovered before him, suddenly understanding that the newcomer was truly genuine. The sword responded solely to the genuine hero, and its renewed glow signaled a single, unmistakable message. The priest noticed the hero's sword shining brightly, signaling the return of the Demon King. The glow in the hero's hand promised a real chance to defeat this ancient enemy. That brilliant light filled the priest with hope. The elderly man dropped to his knees in front of the hero, pleading desperately for the hero to use his sacred abilities to rescue their world. Calmly advised the priest to relax and look up, assuring him that being selected as a hero was simply fate at work. The same principle applied to people who possessed special powers. Everything ultimately depended on fate. With anxiety evident in every movement, Fanon clutched Ark's arm tightly, expressing his belief that they stood no chance against the Demon King. Flashed a friendly smile, welcoming her to stay close to him. He believed that with dedication, any skill could improve over time, and he was eager to guide them through the learning process one step at a time. Ark made it clear that he was unfazed by the idea of heroism coming from another world, insisting that he had no intention of following a stranger who had suddenly appeared. The newcomer, anticipating Ark's doubt, simply remarked that such uncertainty was all part of fate. The group had been brought to this place and chosen by the goddess Astarte herself. Armed with his heroic abilities, he stood prepared to shield everyone around him. Inquired about the boy's name and expressed his desire for the boy to join the team as well. Ark feels stunned by the invitation, his mind struggling to comprehend what just happened. The hero explains that mastering the radiant shield would allow it to safeguard the entire squad. The hero, energized by a sudden surge of excitement, charged forward and unleashed an attack aimed directly at Ark. The sudden explosion sends the girls into a frenzy of fear, causing them to lose their composure. Meanwhile, the priest stands frozen in shock, unable to process what he is witnessing. Ark's radiant shield managed to block an assault from the legendary sacred sword. Ark shouted with frustration, insisting that the hero had acted recklessly and made a foolish decision. Realized that his suspicions were correct. Ark was not an average person at all. He lifted his sword high, announcing the formation of the group destined to challenge the Demon King. With determination, he led the team toward the king's chambers to prepare themselves for the upcoming battle. Ark, feeling irritated, considered the hero to be completely foolish and questioned whether the girls planned to challenge the Demon King as well. Laura noted how quickly everything had unfolded, while Fanon admitted to feeling quite lost. Meanwhile, believed these events were a message from the goddess Astarte. Although it seemed unbelievable, Astarte's warning about the Demon King's return meant that darkness would soon engulf the entire world. Although she had always believed it was nothing more than a fairy tale, the brilliant glow of the sacred sword now seemed far too intense to dismiss. The girl raised her voice and addressed Ark. He acknowledged that the brilliant shield he had crafted turned out to be truly impressive. She wishes for him to gain complete control over his ability and become even more powerful. The intention was to shield everyone from the threat posed by the Demon King. Upon hearing those words, Ark recalls the duties he must uphold. He approaches the girls, assuring them through his actions and determination that he will make sure each of them stays safe. Observed that Ark's cheeks had turned bright red and confidently declared that together, they would form an unbeatable team. The group was now traveling toward the castle where the hero's team resided. The boy struggled to understand why the hero attracted so much admiration, though he acknowledged the hero's legendary status. At that instant, Ark's mind focused on a single purpose and a single task ahead. He realized it was his responsibility to keep everyone safe. In front of King, announced that a team had prepared themselves, confident in their abilities to defeat the Demon King. The king felt a surge of excitement upon witnessing the legends awaken their ancestral abilities, especially now that the hero had returned to the fray. Dropped to one knee with confidence, announcing his arrival as someone summoned from a different world and expressing how truly honored he felt to meet the king. Afterward, he took a moment to introduce each of the girls who had come with him. Within the group stood Laura, renowned for her legendary magic, Fanon, celebrated for his celestial archery skills, and famed as the princess who mastered the sword. The king narrowed his eyes, trying to make out the identity of the young person standing in the back. Took the opportunity to present Ark, calling him the Radiant Shield. This puzzled the king, who insisted that he had no recollection of agreeing to include a Radiant Shield in his group. Then revealed a surprising fact: Ark's shield was far from ordinary. The shield possessed the remarkable ability to deflect even the powerful strike of the sacred sword, a feat considered legendary. The king's mouth fell open in astonishment upon hearing the news, while confidently explained that Ark would revolutionize the way battles were fought. Ark suddenly comes to understand that the hero's decision to test him ahead of time had a specific purpose. When he was assaulted, his power activated automatically, responding as if by instinct. Ark recalled the moment when had complimented his ability, calling it impressive. Motivated by that memory, Ark resolved to perfect his skills and prove himself. Meanwhile, energized the group even more by suggesting they needed one last member for the team. Possessed remarkable healing abilities that set her apart from others. Ark could hardly believe what he was hearing when that name was mentioned. Moves forward, introducing herself as a member of the hero's crew and expressing her excitement about joining the group. Her greatest happiness came from spotting people she recognized, as she secretly felt anxious about encountering strangers who might act strangely. Explained that he included in their group, believing her ability to heal would be essential during their travels. In that moment, the team chosen to defeat the Demon King was officially set. According to the king, all preparations were complete, signaling that a priest would soon reveal crucial secrets about the dark forces. The priest explains that has already been informed, revealing that the world of darkness now exists. The priest explains that has already been in. Reports came in confirming the appearance of 2 dragons in separate locations. Observers believed the creatures were preparing to launch an assault. Teams of soldiers had already been dispatched to defeat them, but every attempt had ended in failure. One by one, the dragons emerged from the shadows. Just as the old writings had predicted, 8 of these creatures would come forth from that mysterious domain. There was a possibility that everyone might arrive. The Demon King was about to arrive in spectacular fashion, bringing chaos and destruction in his wake. Ark felt a surge of fear after hearing the revelations about the 8 dragons and the Demon King. Anxiety gnawed at him, making him believe disaster might soon consume the world. Meanwhile, the priest continued to speak at length about. He claims that the ancient manuscripts stored in the historical library predict his return will be signaled by the appearance of 8 dragons. The king's mind flashes back to a recent warning about the confirmed presence of 2 dragons. As for, the immediate concern is to handle these 2 dragons before any others. Deep down, the king wishes he could voice this plan aloud. However, since the team had only recently become aware of their abilities and still lacked the confidence or skill for facing a dragon, he decided to come up with a strategy. He desired the company of Fanon, Laura, and Ark. They needed to undergo intense training in order to improve their skills. Ark found himself puzzled, trying to figure out what exactly this special training involved, and the idea of battling a dragon seemed unreal to him. As the hero spoke, the rest of the group simply nodded in agreement, leaving Ark to silently wonder if they truly understood what they were signing up for. Sometime afterward, in a different moment, Ark takes a blow to the face. The person responsible explains that he is present to help train Ark, following the hero's command, and wonders aloud why Ark isn't making use of his power. The man reminds him that he must always be prepared to summon his shield instantly. In Ark's mind, he protests, not because he's unwilling to use his ability, but because he simply isn't able to. After several days spent in training, the man began to question whether Ark was truly fit to be part of the mission. If Ark was unable to use his power, the hero would need to find out quickly, because if Ark became a burden to the team, their mission would be doomed. Ark, feeling exasperated, insisted that he truly possessed a special power, reminding the hero that it had already been demonstrated. The other man, unconvinced, decided to walk away, mentioning he would inform the hero just in case. Left behind, Ark seethed with frustration, puzzled about the true nature of his own ability. In a different area, guided Fanon through bow visualization exercises, helping her improve her abilities as she gained experience. The hero explained that she held a sacred arrow in her right hand, an arrow capable of destroying her foes. Offered his assistance, promising to lend his own powers, and then enhance the arrow with an extra surge of energy. Without warning, Fanon expertly released an arrow, sending it straight to its target. The heroes excitedly expressed their admiration, encouraging her to fully accept her power and push it to its greatest potential. The hero checks on Laura, wanting to know if she senses anything unusual. Laura admits that an overwhelming and frightening force is constantly surging inside her, leaving her extremely scared. Right then, it seems possible that the ancient magic could completely consume her body. Without any warning, wrapped his arms around Laura and expressed concern for her well-being. The girl suddenly returns to the present moment, and he observes her closely to see if she has regained her composure. She mentions an unexpected warmth filling her, which leaves her feeling comforted. Hearing this, the hero expresses excitement and suggests they relax together while exploring her magical abilities. When was present, the young man advised the girl to gradually allow her abilities to gain control. The girl began molding the air between her fingers, her concentration intense. Without warning, a surge of energy erupted from her, and a gigantic, luminous sword materialized before her eyes. The hero suddenly understands that the girl possesses an incredible ability, able to call forth an enormous sword with ease. Overwhelmed, lets the weapon slip from his grasp as tears begin to well in his eyes. The young man checked on her well-being, reassuring her that exhaustion was a common reaction after expending such a large amount of power all at once. The hero noticed that the Princess of the Blade's powers were overwhelming and recommended that she pause to catch her breath. Firmly assures everyone that she feels okay and sees no need to rest, while the hero encourages her to relax and take it easy. Despite being approached, the girl expresses her desire to be by herself for a while. Thought it was impressive. She needed to avoid overwhelming herself with worry, so for now, he decided to look in on the rest of the group. The girl leaves abruptly, not bothering to offer a farewell. In the end, appears just as he had imagined. He feels excited at the thought of beginning a new chapter with her. At the same time, not far away, Ark sits on the ground, lost in contemplation. A person appeared, remarking that they had expected to find him at this spot. The young man raises his gaze, revealing himself to be. Spotting his friend approaching, Ark startles slightly. The girl observes that the lake appears especially beautiful after sunset. She notes how natural crystals emerge from beneath the surface, causing the water to glitter intensely on clear evenings. Often found herself gazing at breathtaking scenery, and each time she couldn't help but question whether the Demon King might actually appear. While she knew the forest was home to dangerous creatures, she trusted that the guards were more than capable of dealing with those threats. Meanwhile, Ark grew curious and wanted to know whether felt any fear at the idea of facing the Demon King in battle. The girl confessed that she truly was. Since the moment she gained her new abilities, her entire world had turned upside down. After being engulfed by that mysterious light, all she longed for was an ordinary life, leaving her confused about why such events had to happen to her. Ark nodded in understanding, expressing gratitude for her honesty. Meanwhile, she questioned in her mind why Ark hadn't acquired an ability that would turn him into a hero. The boy wished he could question the goddess about why he had been given such an ordinary farming skill. However, believes that the boy's talent is truly impressive. That very ability had allowed him to fend off the hero's strike not long ago. Ark didn't share the excitement, particularly because the hero had arrived from a different world. Encouraged Ark to put effort into training, so he could become stronger and protect her like a shield. The young man expresses sympathy toward her, though inwardly he battles to control his strange power. As the hour grows late, rises to her feet, preparing to go, but then she notices movement nearby. Sinister creatures begin to approach them, wolves that have been transformed into terrifying demons, once ordinary dogs now twisted into monstrous forms. Questions internally whether the shadow she sees could be part of the darkness that is beginning to spread. Ark shouted, warning the girl to move away. The girl stands prepared to reveal the full extent of her abilities. With determination in her eyes, she rushed toward the monster, swinging her sword in a powerful arc that split the creature cleanly in two. The young man checks on her well-being, wondering if she is all right. However, just as she is about to respond, a different attacker suddenly leaps toward her. With swift precision, dispatches the second creature as well, causing it to collapse motionless at his feet. Its energy began to drain from using her abilities, and exhaustion swept over her until she fell to her knees. Ark observed the situation and realized it was going badly. Suddenly, a monstrous figure sprang toward the girl, but Ark reacted quickly, stepping in front to protect her. He was taken aback as his own powers manifested unexpectedly. Witnessing this, felt a surge of admiration for Ark's actions. The strength of the light within Ark began to intensify. Drawing on the brightness from his shield, Ark confronted the looming shadows and managed to defeat the attacking monsters. The creature vanishes, its form fading away until nothing remains. Ark stood in disbelief as he witnessed the scene unfold. He had managed to confront and overcome the terrifying creature using nothing but his shield. Nearby, acknowledged how incredibly impressive the feat was. Ark observed a radiant light surrounding the girl. She reassured him, explaining that the glow was simply a normal result of her blade princess power. The girl expressed her gratitude to Ark for his help earlier. The boy wondered whether she remained aware when she used her power. She admitted that she usually did not, and realized that although she fought monsters non-stop, it seemed as if she lost control of her own body during those moments. However, once her body reaches its breaking point, her power automatically shuts off to protect her life. The boy thinks about possible ways to make her power safer. The girl explains that everything depends on the hero. It was no exaggeration. Their abilities were connected to his presence, and whenever the boy was nearby, even the Blade Princess appeared calm. The other girls felt uneasy, realizing just how much they relied on the hero. She didn't really like the plan, yet the group relied on him to maintain their abilities. The situation annoyed her, but the chosen ones had no choice except to stay with the hero. Loyalty was a must. Meanwhile, inside the castle, a voice suddenly rang out, announcing the girl's arrival. The maid soon notices that the hero is preoccupied with his own activities. Nevertheless, he instructs someone to allow her inside. The maid assures everyone that she will take care of the situation, showing no sign of concern. Meanwhile, the hero is engaged in a unique meditation session alongside a young woman from the castle. As soon as the girl he had been anticipating entered the room, the boy's face brightened with excitement as he admitted he was weary of spending time with the maids and longed for the company of someone new. Stands in the room, unable to contain her excitement as she bounces with energy. Believes the hero is incredibly impressive, far beyond what she feels she deserves in a friend. Reassures everyone that everything is fine, explaining that he enjoyed meeting her from the very beginning. At this, becomes noticeably bashful, which is typical for her. In a different room, Ark suddenly jolted awake. His sister stood nearby, noting that he had overslept far more than anyone had anticipated. The boy sprang to his feet, declaring that it was time for another session of special training. Laura noticed how exhausted he appeared and remarked on how tired he looked. In addition, he woke up drenched in sweat, prompting her to wonder if he had experienced a bad dream. Laura brought up the discovery of monster bodies in the area, expressing her concern and urging him to stay safe. Ark recalled the previous night, remembering how his abilities had activated without any effort on his part. He expressed his gratitude to Laura for her concern. He wondered aloud whether she felt any fear about the trip ahead. She believes that anything is possible, including the most difficult events, but she also holds on to hope. Should they possess heroic abilities along with her brother, who always carried his gleaming shield, there was a real possibility that they might actually be able to rescue the world, and this was no exaggeration. Ark was filled with energy and determination, convinced that he would excel during today's training session. The girl reacts with astonishment to his excitement. She mentions that she is able to demonstrate a small portion of her magic at that moment, and Ark enthusiastically agrees, expressing that he finds it impressive. Once they finished preparing, the group set out on their way. Laura wondered aloud whether her brother might have left something behind. He mentions that it occurred to him he hasn't spotted recently. Laura observes that he also hasn't spent much time with the hero. Ark feels puzzled by this. Laura explains that everything happening is related to getting ready for their journey. It seemed that the hero had put in a few requests, prompting the royal palace to prepare special medicines for the upcoming journey. At that moment, Ark comes to the sad understanding that it will be a while before he gets to see Smile again. Laura, noticing his mood, wonders aloud if Ark genuinely misses or if he simply has a crush on her. Hearing this, Ark blushes and grows bashful, unable to hide his embarrassment. He remarked that was actually quite attractive, which caused his sister to become upset. Attempts to introduce the hero to a different method of meditation. He seemed to be thoroughly enjoying himself. She confesses that she has never tried that meditation technique before. She was so excited for that very reason. The hero wondered aloud whether she had ever tried deep meditation, but she simply shook her head and admitted she had not. The reality was that she had always practiced meditation alone, never sharing the experience with anyone else. The hero assured her that he would lead the way and assist her in forming a stronger bond with the spirit. Feeling deeply privileged, the girl expressed her gratitude for his support. Once the meditation session ended, both of them felt energized and cheerful, looked forward to deepening his friendship with as time went on. While moving through the bustling city streets, Ark noticed among the crowd and tried to get her attention. He wondered aloud whether she was alone, and she replied that she was searching for Fanon, who had already left the training session. Fanon often boasted about her abilities, yet whenever she became enthusiastic, her words sped up so much that others struggled to keep up. Ark muttered about how Fanon once never left his side, while wondered aloud if Ark was starting to feel alone. Laura insists that they must move quickly without delay. The boy's nerves began to show as his anxiety grew. Life had turned upside down after the ceremony. In the past, they had always been known as the Fab Five, but now only 3 remained. Wondered aloud whether having ordinary jobs might have brought them closer together. Laura nodded in agreement, expressing that they should savor this experience together and make the most of it. They had been selected for a special purpose, so it was their responsibility to respect that role and ensure their adventure ended in success. Ark agreed with Laura's reasoning, acknowledging her valid perspective, and anticipated that would be joining their group shortly. Excluding the hero, the team would consist of 5 members. Ark suddenly experiences a burst of inspiration. He glanced over at, trying to see if she had recovered from the turmoil of the previous day. Laura stood in disbelief, amazed that they had truly managed to defeat those terrifying monsters. The boy believed that the day had been saved, mainly because of some impressive abilities. He described how she fearlessly battled monsters, her intense expression never wavering as she defeated one after another. Gives a silent nod in agreement. With a piercing gaze, the character silently conveyed that things simply happened that way. Ark wondered aloud whether she was tapping into her special abilities. She let out a laugh, assuring everyone that she was only joking and genuinely felt fantastic. The boy realized that she had completely deceived him, making him believe she was giving her absolute best effort. He advised Laura to use her abilities discreetly as they neared the castle, preparing themselves for another training session. Within the castle walls, relaxed peacefully, her demeanor calm and composed, while the hero remarked with a playful grin that she appeared especially serene, almost as if she had just finished meditating. She nodded in agreement, observing that the boy's boundless energy made meditation a beneficial practice for him as well. Then reflected on his past life, remarking that stamina had always been his strong suit. Driven by curiosity, wonders aloud about his origins. She is also curious about the reason he chose her to join him on this journey. He makes a humorous remark. Her expertise in medicine proved essential for the trip ahead. Expresses his desire to talk with the other girls who share a connection to his abilities. He believes that close relationship with them might allow her to assist him. He assured her that if he could spend more time with the group, he would give her an impressive reward. His face brightened with excitement at the suggestion. At the same time, progress remained extremely slow. All of the girls put in great effort as they trained, determined to perfect their abilities before the upcoming dragon showdown. Simultaneously, a new, unaware individual was quietly making their way into the realm the others inhabited. A voice rang out, urging the squad to stay calm. One of the soldiers looked to the captain with concern, questioning whether their small team stood a chance against such a monstrous creature. The captain, filled with unwavering resolve, declared that he would defeat the dragon and turn its head into dragon nuggets. A red dragon appeared before them, and the rest of the crew traveled together in a cart. According to rumors that had heard, one of the legendary 8 dragons was said to be red. Word had spread about a village nestled at the mountain's base, where residents had recently been startled by mysterious sounds believed to come from a dragon. Ark questioned in his mind how such a dangerous creature had been allowed to wander unchecked for such an extended period. Believed that they probably hadn't acted alone, since numerous groups had attempted to defeat it. However, not a single one returned. The group required the hero's abilities for this reason, though relying on them was a complete risk. Explained that, although there had been news about distant shaking and loud noises, the town itself remained untouched. Ark wondered aloud if the beast targeted only those who dared to get too close. Found herself curious about the strange creature, while the hero explained that certain archaeologists believed they had a possible explanation. It was believed that the 8 dragons were collecting dark energy, with the intention of resurrecting the Demon King. Although that remained nothing more than speculation, he was certain of one simple truth. They were putting in intense effort to master their abilities, determined to prevent the Demon King's return. Reflected on how carrying such responsibility felt more like a curse than an honor. As they continued forward, the attendant guiding them loudly called out to the hero, gesturing toward the place they were heading. Their journey would soon bring them to a town nestled at the base of the volcano. The village was tiny, filled with charming houses that looked inviting and cozy. As the travelers entered the town, the residents erupted into joyful celebration, expressing their gratitude for the journey the newcomers had undertaken. Wondered aloud whether the approaching figures were the guards, and questioned the current state of the volcano. The group replied that the ground continued to shake, yet there was still no indication that the volcano would erupt. Tension filled the air as rumors spread about the dragon hunting squad. No one had ever come back from the volcano. Determined to finish things quickly, focused on resolving the situation as soon as possible. He explains that they will get comfortable and figure out what to do the following day. As he drew near, mentioned that she was coming with him. Ark observed how stood very near the hero, picking up on their closeness. Meanwhile, assumed that simply had a natural talent for connecting with others. She experiences a twinge of envy. Expressed his reliance on, letting her know that he was depending on her assistance. Fanon's excitement was evident, as she expressed a strong desire to visit the hot springs. She beckoned for Laura to come over and join her. Ark noticed that Fanon appeared more enthusiastic than usual, credited her own influence for the group's positive mood, and Ark confirmed her claim. The soldier observes the group and comes to understand that, no matter how capable they appear, they are still only children. He then wonders aloud to the hero whether things are going to turn out okay. Calmly lets him know that worrying isn't necessary. No one had ever been taught the abilities that these individuals possessed. Before long, those children would become legends in their own right. One day, their abilities would surpass those of the Demon King himself, far beyond simply outdoing a dragon. However, this future was not destined for all of them. Cast a glare at Ark so intense, it seemed capable of turning molten rock to solid stone. Noticed the boy's pale appearance and expressed concern, questioning whether he was okay. Ark dismissed the concern, insisting that it was nothing more than a strange feeling. As strikes up a conversation with him, stayed alert, sensing an opportunity for the group to find an inn and relax after their long journey. The excitement in the community centered around the newly discovered hot spring, with everyone sharing their thoughts and anticipation. Laura wondered aloud about whereabouts. Fanon explains that her sister isn't feeling well and needs to get some rest. Laura found it hard to imagine ever falling ill, and her sister shared the same thought, remarking on how uncommon it was. Suddenly, her sister startled as she noticed something unexpected. Walked into view with a confident swagger. The girl thought that she ought to arrange a meeting with the hero. Fanon glances over, his expression curious, as he wonders aloud if anything is wrong. She assumed his intentions were focused on getting ready for the next day, likely planning their approach for the upcoming dragon hunt. Was resting in the room when the sound of footsteps signaled that someone had entered. She noticed Ark approaching, and he expressed concern for her well-being, explaining that he had come to make sure she was all right. Expressed regret for causing him stress, and reassured him that she would feel better by the next day. She expressed her gratitude to Ark. The boy advised her to take it easy, reminding her that she was among the girls connected to the hero's abilities. As he prepared to walk away, reflects on the fear that grips her. A sensation similar to flames sparking to life seemed to surge within her. She remained silent, feeling that any words would reveal her vulnerability. Despite her strength, she relies on someone to support her when times get tough. Fanon's excitement bubbled over as she admired the surroundings, imagining herself living there without hesitation. Meanwhile, Laura responded with a hint of exasperation, her eyes rolling at what she considered Fanon's overly enthusiastic attitude. The girl muttered her frustration about being unable to forgive the Red Dragon for destroying such a lovely place. Still, with the dragon hunt coming up the next day, preparations had to be made. Together, the pair approached the hero's door and requested approval to proceed. As soon as they walked in, and were already arguing about the sudden illness that had struck, Laura's eyes widened in surprise as she took in the sight before her. The hero spotted them and explained that he had been spending time with. Although she had no direct connection to him, her abilities remained significant. Gathered the girls and channeled a mysterious power, encouraging everyone to join him in meditation as they prepared for the challenges of the next day. The girls had collapsed to the ground. A being with wings knelt low upon the earth. Sinister powers from a different realm pressed in, causing the very land to fall still. If this continued, disaster would be inevitable, so the hero must be awakened. This urgent task belonged to the goddess. Meanwhile, within the citadel, a group made their way up the mountain's steep path. Ark questioned whether the Red Dragon might be nearby. Observed the view from above, remarking on how peaceful everything appeared. The hero gazed up at the towering mountain, noting its immense size and realizing that finding anything would not be immediate. To make progress, they understood they would have to search carefully for any signs or evidence. Ark wondered aloud about the nature of the clues, while responded, suggesting they were likely not the helpful sort. There might be remnants left behind by fallen warriors, or fragments of creatures that still linger in the area. Ark paused to consider the situation. The hero believed that multiple dragons might be in hiding, not just a single one lurking nearby. He also suspected that other fearsome creatures were likely protecting the area as well. Ark wonders aloud how the other person possesses this knowledge, questioning whether it might be one of the hero's special abilities. Explained that it was merely a feeling he had. The dragon was most likely concealed nearby, quietly preparing itself for whatever was to come. Deep within the vast expanse of the volcanic mountain, something remained hidden. The hero realized that finding the dragon quickly was important, fearing that his own powers could create major problems if he delayed. The girl noticed a movement nearby and leapt in surprise. Laura reassured, explaining that the creatures they saw were harmless animals from the forest. Ark advised her to stay calm and not make a fuss over small things like that. The girl remained unimpressed and insisted that he should stop wasting time and go search for the dragon immediately. Ark couldn't understand what she was talking about, leaving him feeling puzzled. He wonders aloud to whether Fanon has been behaving strangely since earlier. Before the upcoming battle, his sister insists that she felt perfectly all right, suggesting her unease might simply be nerves. As the group advances, the hero notices something unusual among the trees, a severed hand strewn on the forest floor, already crawling with maggots. Sensing something amiss, the soldier turns to, questioning whether he senses it too. Just then, the hero's gaze lands on a cave in the distance. The soldier urges him to return, but the hero presses forward undeterred. Stood resolute as a group of monsters suddenly appeared before him. The entire team prepared themselves for the upcoming fight. The hero notices the monsters attempting to frighten the group away. As one of the creatures prepared to leap at the boy, shouted a warning for him to be careful. Just then, another figure dashed in to rescue him. Stood poised with her enchanted sword, prepared to strike. Acknowledged the strength of her assault, admitting it had taken him some time to understand the situation. Drew upon his power and unleashed the demon-slaying sword. She began taking down opponents one by one with impressive skill. abilities were remarkable, and she soon realized that Fanon was supporting her as well. The girls confidently wielded the divine celestial bow. As additional monsters began to emerge, the hero expressed his trust in Laura, relying on her support. Laura unleashed her magic, causing the creatures to dissolve before they could approach. Watching this, burst into laughter and thought Laura had completely dominated the battle. In just moments, the entire horde of monsters was defeated. The hero believed they performed exceptionally well, attributing their success to the intense training they had. The group brimmed with excitement, confident in their ability to defeat the dragon as a team, yet a sense of unease lingered within Ark. Inside, he felt shattered, as though had irreparably damaged a part of him. The boy questioned whether he was feeling jealous or envious, but realized it was something more profound. A heavy pressure weighed on his chest, almost suffocating him. Meanwhile, called out to Ark, curious about his mood. She pointed out that his shield was the perfect tool for defeating the dragon. Ark felt the weight of her words, and tears began to gather in his eyes. Despite his efforts to remain composed, he cannot stop the tears from streaming down his face. Signaled to, urging her to step ahead, while extended her hand invitingly toward Ark, encouraging him to come along with them. The boys made a firm decision to keep them safe. He is confident in his ability to assist when the group confronts the dragon. Despite everything, an uneasy feeling lingered. Although he belonged to the team, he experiences an intense sense of isolation, as if he's always watching life from the sidelines, never truly a part of it. Observed a large number of monsters surrounding them, confirming the hero's feeling that his intuition had been correct. They had arrived at the location of one of the 8 dragons that hailed from the... A gigantic dragon with crimson scales dominated the scene. His eyes widened in surprise, mirroring the reactions of the other girls around her. Suddenly, the dragon surged forward, poised to strike its target. The hero called out loudly, searching for Ark. The boy prepared himself and rushed ahead with determination. Long before the hero summoned him, he had already prepared himself. Fueled by determination, he managed to shield his teammates from the dragon's blazing attack. Realized that Ark's barrier radiated intense heat, reminding her that he was protecting her once again. Preparing to face the massive creature, the hero his sword for battle. He rushed toward the dragon, while called out in concern for his safety. He delivered a powerful blow to the beast, cutting through it with surprising ease. The monster's tail separated cleanly, leaving Laura stunned and wide-eyed at how effortlessly it had been severed. Wasting no time, the hero urgently signaled for Fanon and Laura to come with him, urging them to launch their attacks against the dragon right away. Each of them aimed carefully and struck, but their efforts left only minor marks on the dragon's tough hide. Noticing the dragon beginning to gather flames once more, the hero called out to Ark, instructing him to raise the shield again in preparation for the next fiery assault. He realized that he had to move faster than before. Ark panicked, convinced he wouldn't finish in time. Suddenly, stepped between Ark and the problem, insisting that she would take care of it herself. The boy responded loudly, insisting that she was unable to simply stop the flames. At the same time, the heroes observed the events quietly, saying nothing as everything happened before them. He moved in front of and swung his sword, releasing a powerful roar. He deflected the dragon's fiery breath, forcing the flames to veer off course as he insisted that should not offer herself in his place. Turning to confront the beast, the hero challenged the creature, uncertain if it truly belonged to the legendary group of 8. She believed it wasn't worthy of being called by that name. At last, the first dragon falls in defeat. The girls stared in awe, clearly amazed by the hero's extraordinary abilities, which matched everything they had hoped for in someone who came from another world to save them. Laura approached Ark, indicating that an important conversation awaited them once they returned home. In the royal palace, the king proudly shared news that had successfully defeated the dragon and completed the mission with great success. The king intends to honor the hero for his incredible accomplishments, but before he can continue, the hero interrupts to express gratitude for the king's gesture. However, the hero insists that fulfilling's dream of peace is his true motivation, not any recognition or prize. Understanding this, the king agrees, commending the hero's admirable outlook and expressing his hope that the hero enjoys restful sleep. The hero intends to finally get some restful sleep, choosing to meditate alongside the girls. He has been eagerly anticipating this moment for a very long time. Turned 2, curious about her relationship with, and wanting to know how things were progressing, assured him that everything between her and was relaxed and going smoothly. At the same time, Ark and Laura were at home. Their mother expresses immense pride in her sons, admiring how Ark is growing into an exceptional young man. She marvels at his observation and finds it astonishing that Laura possesses magical abilities as well. She hoped they could both relax and eat for the remainder of the day, yet she couldn't help but wonder where their father had gone, directing her question toward. Explains that he's occupied with building tasks. She encourages everyone to start eating so their meal doesn't lose its warmth. Their mother then heads out, saying she's meeting a friend. Ark calls out, warning her to stay safe. Once their mom leaves, the main character looks over at his sister. He wonders aloud about the thoughts occupying her mind. On their way home, the boy observed that she seemed more withdrawn than usual. The girl considers spending some time with the hero. Ark's mouth falls open in shock at the suggestion, and he wonders aloud whether had spoken to her. The girl shakes her head, understanding that this decision is hers alone to face. After her encounter with the red dragon, she came to an important realization. Without improving her abilities alongside the hero, she knew she wouldn't stand a chance against the next dragon. Confronted with such overwhelming strength, a wave of fear crashed over her, leaving her shaken. Ark lets his sister know that he understands her point. He mentioned that he hoped he wasn't being bothersome, and since there was nothing more he could do, he simply wished her well. He questions whether letting her go was a mistake. He truly lacked any means to accomplish it. Ark lacked the abilities that were typical of a hero. Fear overwhelmed him, as he believed the dragon might finish him off at that very moment. Despite his ability to defend himself with his shield, defeating the dragon remained beyond his reach. Ultimately, delivering the decisive strike was a task reserved for the hero. That hero, always an outsider, was the one who came from another world. Ark questioned why he alone lacked the power to support the hero, as others did. The following morning, Ark rises before dawn and searches for Laura, only to find that she is nowhere to be found. The boy simmers with anger as he reflects on what type of hero has become. A voice from outside the window beckons to him. He glances downward and notices, who is visibly brimming with enthusiasm. The boy wondered aloud whether she was interested in joining, but she replied that she would only stop by briefly, confident that her abilities were progressing well. As she spoke, her attention shifted to Ark's striking red eyes, prompting her to question if he had managed a good night's sleep. Ark admitted that he hadn't been able to rest at all, wrapped her arms around him in a grateful embrace, expressing her appreciation for his support. Although his ability was simple, he put every bit of effort into using it. Powers themselves lacked emotion, but the courage to persevere and continue battling came entirely from his own determination. The boy expressed his gratitude for offering support, but their moment was interrupted when another voice cheerfully greeted them. Arrived, accompanied by a girl. He explained that during his patrol he had discovered her collapsed on the street and felt it was his duty as a hero to assist her. He had no idea about her origins and was considering bringing her to the castle. Ark senses that something isn't quite right about the girl. He observes that she is wearing handcuffs and appears uncomfortably pressed into the seat. This revealed that the girl was a slave, and confirmed that he had noticed some suspicious people lingering near her. In his previous world, the hero had never encountered slavery, and as he mentioned this, the girl attempted to speak up. Ark noticed her hesitation and questioned her about what she wanted to share. Sensing the tension, inquired if there was a problem, while the boy explained that he was trying to understand the girl's intentions. The girl quietly utters a few words concerning the hero before she suddenly falls against. Kneels beside her, hesitating as uncertainty fills his mind, while Ark steps forward and volunteers to assist. The boy admits his curiosity about her and mentions that his home is nearby, offers her assistance as well. After some time had passed, the girl regained consciousness, and Ark's excitement was clear when he noticed she was awake. She was free from the handcuffs now. The girl remained silent for a moment. Ark presented her with an item, explaining that it had dropped onto when she lost consciousness. The girl acknowledged that the object belonged to her. The main character reminded her to take care, so she wouldn't misplace it once more. The little girl offered her heartfelt gratitude to him, her smile warm and sincere. Ark felt a wave of surprise wash over her. The boy stepped forward, sharing his name and politely inquiring what hers might be. The young girl introduced herself as. Ark greeted her with a wide smile, clearly delighted to make her acquaintance. Her lips curved into a smile as well. At the same time, inside the castle, wondered what was happening. She grows enraged when she notices all the girls sitting in meditation with the boy, their expressions strangely vacant, as if under some kind of spell. The girls exchanged hushed words among themselves, agreeing that had an intimidating appearance. The hero casually walked over, mentioning that they were simply working on improving their abilities. Meanwhile, grew increasingly irritated and warned the hero with a threat. He lets out a laugh, explaining that their impressive strength comes from practicing meditation. He suddenly transformed into a fearsome presence, declaring that she was now part of the team. The girl appears completely stunned, unable to hide her shock. The individual had always been destined to become the hero. She found herself unable to access her abilities, and in the chaos surrounding her, victory seemed completely out of reach. Dashed away, acting just as had expected, she recognized that energy in him long before he made his move. She realized she needed to share the secret with someone. Suddenly, she collided with another person. The individual recognized her as and expressed concern for her well-being. For a brief moment, is overcome with happiness upon realizing that it is. The woman advised the girl to calm down and walk instead of rushing through the castle corridors. Afterward, she proposed that they return and rejoin the hero to catch up with him. Ark could hear a strange voice echoing around him. At the same time, there was an odd sense of familiarity about it. Without warning, the voice reveals that Ark had given his word to keep her safe. Startled by this revelation, the main character snaps out of sleep and calls out desperately for. As he rose beside, she let out a sharp cry of pain and immediately collapsed back onto the ground. Feeling anxious, Ark apologized and checked to see if she was all right. He questioned to himself whether the girl had come to wake him up, and she remarked that he hadn't looked his best while he was sleeping. Believing it was the right moment to rouse him, she grew concerned about Ark's condition. His worry centered on whether something might be wrong with his head. Meanwhile, the boy couldn't shake the feeling that everything he experienced had been far too vivid to simply dismiss as a dream. The girl hints that he could use a bit more sleep. However, Ark quickly interrupts and ends the conversation. He often experienced vivid and unusual dreams. Despite everything, hearing the girl's voice managed to soothe his nerves. He noticed that she appeared much more energetic than she had the previous day, which made him excited to prepare breakfast for both of them. The day before, after he had helped, he spoke with his mother, who agreed to let stay at their house for a while. The boy remembers the loneliness of being separated from his parents as a child, a feeling he understands deeply. He hopes that sharing this common ground might help relax in his presence. Turning to her, he suggests they pick out some new outfits together. Declines, saying that someone like her doesn't deserve that. The boy points out that she can't keep wearing Laura's clothes for much longer, and insists that now is the ideal opportunity for a change. Taking her hand, he gently pulls her toward the clothing stores and allows herself to follow his lead. She begins experimenting with different clothes, modeling various new outfits. Ark felt a surge of excitement, convinced that everything was just right. Filled with excitement, expressed her gratitude to him, and wondered aloud if she appeared stylish in her new outfit. The main character thinks that, given the chance, he would gladly show her off to all his friends and boast about having a new companion. Just then, the boy is interrupted by an unexpected voice praising his beauty. Walked over to where Ark were standing, noting how well appeared to be doing, then asked if she could recall who she was. Gazed at in shock, unable to hide her surprise. Ark noticed he hadn't come across earlier that day and wondered aloud if she had been in the castle. Confirmed with a nod, explaining she had been busy with training. The main character remarked that it was unusual to hear mention her training routine, prompting to add that Fanon and Laura were present as well. Ark then presented the young girl to the group, introducing her as, while also offered her own introduction. However, averted her gaze shyly, her confidence from moments before fading. Curious, Ark questioned her sudden change in demeanor, pointing out how energetic she had been just a moment earlier. Quickly slipped behind the boy, trying to stay out of sight. Teased that perhaps was feeling bashful or secretly liked Ark despite the playful accusation, remained silent. Ark explained with an apology that the girl had been full of energy not long ago. Assured him that everything was fine and mentioned that if felt comfortable around Ark, he must be handling things well. Curious, the boy checked if things were all right and replied that nothing had changed. Then, in a hesitant tone, Ark quietly expressed his hope to that, once this battle ended, their lives could return to the way they used to be. Nerves got the better of her as she confessed her wish for things to be different, tears streaming silently down her face. Without another word, the girl turned and left Ark standing alone. While caught sight of tears, the boy remained completely unaware of her sorrow. The young girl explains that she sensed feelings, and they were filled with sadness, which unsettled her. Now it is up to Ark to support her. Inside the castle walls, a figure hurried over to the hero with urgent news. The second dragon had appeared in a nearby village, and was expected to prepare for the fight. Still a young man, barely glanced at the report before dismissively tossing it away, insisting that he was overwhelmed with tasks at the moment and wondered if the matter could be postponed. According to the men, if he chose not to confront the dragon, the Demon King would return, and that could mean everything would end. Wonders aloud about the specific time, the Demon King is expected to arrive. They responded with uncertainty, explaining that their knowledge came solely from old writings. The hero concluded that, in that case, there was no need to hurry. At that moment, a girl entered the room and expressed regret for disturbing them. Stood poised to reveal some secrets, motioned for the others to leave. After a brief moment of uncertainty, the group exited the room. The hero glanced at with curiosity, silently wondering what was going on. The girl sensed that something was wrong, though she couldn't quite put her finger on it. The hero's face was marked with confusion at her words. She struggled to describe how she felt, admitting that lately she didn't feel like herself. Rested her elbows on the table, questioning whether he might have done something to cause this. Baffled by her accusation, wondered aloud what she could possibly mean. He explained that he had simply taken on the hero's role, and that she and the others had chosen to support him because of it. Acknowledged his point, but confessed that, despite this, an overwhelming sense of unease now lingered within her. The hero calmly advised her to relax. Was likely letting her thoughts spiral, while he was simply doing his job by looking out for everyone. It was time for her to discuss plans with and the rest of the group about tracking down the dragon next week. For the moment, though, she needed to let go of her worries about unusual things. The girl nodded, indicating her understanding. His thoughts spiraled as he questioned whether had picked up on anything unusual, or if his own abilities were starting to weaken. He wondered whether there was any connection to the Demon King's return. There was also the possibility that it might be something different. At the same time, kept her gaze fixed on the gemstone she valued so much. As the evening grew darker, Ark approached and informed the girl that it was time to go home. She agreed with a nod and hurried over to his side. Noticing her lingering gaze, the boy questioned whether she had been looking at that stone once more. She eagerly agreed, and suddenly the object was in her grasp, feeling as if it belonged to her. Understood, reminding her to keep it safe from anyone who might try to steal it. After that, they headed back to their house together. Despite the looming threat of dragons, the city remained strangely calm. It was almost unbelievable how such a sense of normalcy could exist while disaster quietly approached. Managed to draw Ark's attention, and expressed her desire to meet his friends the next time they saw each other. The boy hesitated, questioning whether she was certain, and reminded himself that was his friend too. Felt a wave of fear wash over her at the sight of the girl. Despite this, the young child remained determined, expressing her wish to see and offer an apology to. Ark noticed that recently, the girls around him had been behaving unusually. The character alternated between moving nearer to the hero and then retreating from him. Noticed that Even had been keeping his distance lately. Concerned, checked on the boy, who replied that he was simply lost in thought. Just then, a voice called out to him, interrupting the moment. Laura's voice echoed as she identified herself as the girl who had been rescued by the hero. Approaching, she announced that she had something important to reveal. Laura glanced over at, her expression thoughtful as she prepared to share what was on her mind. Ark felt a surge of excitement at the thought of seeing his sister, and wondered if she would be coming home soon. Laura, however, ignored the other person and focused her attention on the young girl, making it clear that she intended to speak with her instead. The boy insisted that introductions were necessary and questioned the serious expression on Ark's face. Ark gently guided toward Laura, encouraging his sister to say her name. The young girl greeted the boy's sister with a shy hello. Laura, however, remains wordless. She quickly admits her behavior was odd and offers to share her name. Laura introduced herself, declaring her loyalty to the hero, before reaching out her hand toward. The girls reached out and clasped each other's hands in greeting. Both of them recoiled in surprise. Ark informed his sister that the introduction was finished, signaling that she could let go. Laura, realizing this, apologized before releasing her hold on's hand. She went on to admit that she was unsure about the exact nature of her own power, but she sensed an incredibly intense energy within herself. Found the mention of this mysterious aura puzzling, prompting Laura to clarify that her own special ability somehow connected with that powerful presence. When the hero encounters the next dragon, is expected to join the group and accompany them. The young girl's face reveals confusion as she tries to make sense of what's happening. Ark felt anxious and wondered aloud about the reason for accompanying him, questioning what was going on. Responded with a serious expression. Laura repeated that she refused to speak with Ark. Ever since the newcomer arrived, the main character has felt his stress levels rise, thinking about how everything has changed. Had stripped him of all he once possessed. Ark wondered aloud whether this, too, counted as a message from the heavens. After that, he expressed doubt, asking himself if the hero's every word could truly be trusted. Laura pointed out that the boy was overlooking something important. She explained that every action served a purpose, preventing the demon lord's return. According to her, it was the hero's destiny to restore peace across the world. The goddess Astarte had selected this hero, who had suddenly appeared in their land. He was known as the one who saved humanity. Ark noticed that his sister was behaving unusually and seemed indifferent to the commands of the hero. His main concern was understanding why she chose to follow so readily, without any hesitation. Laura informed him that he had 7 days. Realized he had to teach the basics of fighting dragons, feeling the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. Ark wondered aloud whether he would be required for the upcoming hunt as well, since defeating a dragon sounded like an opportunity no one would want to miss. Laura simply lifted her shoulders in a non-committal gesture, admitting she was unsure and explaining that her presence was only due to the hero's orders, a typical decision from someone in that role. The boy hesitated before requesting permission to ask a question, giving the impression that whatever he wanted to say would be meaningful. He wonders aloud whether the girl feels afraid to face the dragon, a question that makes perfect sense. She pauses briefly, likely picturing the terrifying flames and destruction. After a moment, she explains that she has the hero by her side, so fear doesn't stand a chance. It seems simple enough to her. Art began to feel uneasy at the thought. He sensed a responsibility to keep her safe. For as long as he could remember, he had always been Laura's dependable brother, the one she could rely on for anything. Now, though, a sense of uselessness weighed heavily on him. Tears welled up in Ark's eyes, as the weight of everything became too much for him to bear. At the same time, inside the castle walls, effortlessly captivated the girls, commanding their attention and admiration with confidence. He suggests that the team prepare themselves for their upcoming task to battle the dragon. They saw no reason to refuse. He observed that his abilities were having a strong effect on them, and a sense of pride likely welled up inside him. At the same time, Fanon bounced energetically down the hallway, likely fueled by too much sugar. She tapped on her older sister's bedroom door, eager to rouse her from sleep. Hearing movement from within, Fanon called out for her sister to get out of bed. Deep down, however, things were different. Looked completely exhausted. Fanon looked at her sister with concern, wondering if she was all right, while reassured her, explaining that she was fine but could sense her powers acting unpredictably. Fanon observed that her sister possessed extraordinary powers, comparing them to those of a superhero. Pointed out that the hero was eager to discuss the dragon hunt, insisting they needed to prepare for the next attack without taking any time to relax. Fanon reassures the group that the hero is improving, so there's no reason to worry too much, though the situation remains unsettling. Meanwhile, admits she might not be much help on the upcoming mission because her abilities can be overwhelming. She carries the weight of believing the world's safety depends on her. Feels the need to get better at what she does, a feeling many people would understand. According to Fanon, the final fight was unforgettable, all because of the hero's remarkable sword. After all, who wouldn't dream of wielding such a weapon? Meanwhile, shifted the focus to Ark's impressive shield, causing both of them to exchange puzzled glances, silently questioning each other's point. Fanon then wondered aloud why was discussing the shield, insisting that the hero had defeated the dragon in a single blow, as if it were nothing extraordinary. Admitted that the experience had been intense, but she gave Ark credit for keeping everyone safe with his incredible bravery, making him a hero as well. After that, Fanon wondered aloud whether Sister still had feelings for Ark, stirring up some drama. Explained that Ark was, in name, her closest friend from childhood, though that label didn't necessarily mean much. Despite what others believed, her younger sister revealed that Ark hadn't received any special ability, leaving everyone puzzled about the truth. She began to wonder whether her sister even remembered what had happened the previous night, sensing that the situation was becoming more intriguing. The girl admits that her memories are hazy following her capture, revealing an unexpected turn in the story. Her sister leaned closer, eager to share all the details about what had taken place. She swiftly slipped into unconsciousness. Abilities had completely overwhelmed her, leaving her feeling that the situation was unjust. Realizing her mistake, she admitted her error and offered a sincere apology to the hero. She made a daring commitment by vowing to dedicate her life to him. Admits to herself that her recollection has been extremely unclear ever since the incident occurred. Despite any doubts, the group stood as the hero's team, committed to bringing peace to their world, which meant they had no choice but to rise to the challenge. For the upcoming dragon hunt, everyone understood they had to put forth their best effort for sake, leaving no room for laziness. Sister signaled her agreement, eager and prepared to get started. Meanwhile, Ark took time to clarify things explaining that the hero's arrival and the appearance of the dragon were all meant to prevent the demon lord's return, just the usual hero destiny. Now that they had been summoned, they officially belonged to the hero's team, which felt pretty exciting. In the beginning, he avoided discussing any of these matters with her, feeling she was too young to handle such conversations. He expected another battle with the dragon, yet he wished she could just relax at home. Suddenly, claimed he needed her, making it sound as dire as facing death itself. Despite that, the boy didn't want to come along. That felt overwhelming, casting an uncomfortable tension throughout the room. Awkwardness hung in the air until the girl began sharing what she knew about heroes and the demon lord, making it clear she didn't bring any negativity with her. She suddenly appeared as if a crucial memory had just come back to her. Ark grew anxious and gently shook the girl, making it clear that he feared she might vanish just as the others had. He wondered aloud whether she intended to abandon him, a worry that seemed reasonable given the situation. However, the girl reassured him, confidently expressing that she had every intention of staying by his side. She remains uncertain about her own identity, unable to recall who she truly is. Upon her arrival, she encountered the others while sitting on that bed, an experience that felt almost unbelievable. Ark quickly realized that her memory of being abducted by was missing, which immediately raised his suspicions. During this time, her gaze appeared vacant and lifeless, as if an unknown force had taken control of her, creating an unsettling atmosphere. Then reflected on the situation, suggesting that perhaps her presence there was always meant to happen, adding a sense of fate to the moment. She mentions that there is something she would like to show him. The situation was just starting to become intriguing. She reached out toward the boy, holding her stone, which began to emit a faint glow. This was the same stone she always kept close, yet now an unfamiliar inscription could be seen on its surface, adding an air of mystery. Ark moved closer, noticing that what he saw resembled a number, sparking his curiosity. Went on to reveal that whenever she encountered, the numbers would shift, something she found rather fascinating. Each time her eyes fall upon the stone, an odd sensation stirs within her, as if a significant memory is on the verge of surfacing. Anyone who glanced her way immediately sensed her powerful presence, as if she radiated a vibrant energy that could boost everyone around her. The girl expressed her desire to understand the situation, explaining that it was important for her own sense of security. She seemed to feel that spending time with Ark and the group matched her personal style. The boy acknowledged her perspective, indicating he understood her reasons. She was far from ordinary, yet if she agreed to join them in the upcoming fight. Regardless of the circumstances, the boy was completely committed to keeping her safe. If the situation turns against him, he wishes that she will leave quickly. He truly understands what it feels like to confront a dragon, and he isn't exaggerating. At that moment, his sole concern was keeping safe. However, the girl refused, insisting that she understood his true intentions and what he was actually trying to shield. Meanwhile, the boy's thoughts were filled with his childhood friends, his sister, and the desire to rescue everyone. Ark added his thoughts, admitting that despite everything, he still felt like nothing more than the hero's sidekick. Expressed that she thought it was cool. He had rescued her, displaying a kindness deeper than anyone she had ever met. Although uncertainty lingered for the girl about her own abilities, she recognized that the boy's compassion surpassed even the mightiest superpower. Together, they understood the importance of moving forward carefully and putting forth their best effort. Needed to allow herself to recall memories in her own time. She reassured everyone that everything would be all right, and that Ark would grow stronger as well. At that moment, the number carved into the stone shifted from 2 to 3. The main character expressed gratitude for offering support. From the beginning, the girl observed that Ark had always acted calm and easygoing around her. Seeing this, she now hoped he would continue progressing, all while keeping a cheerful expression. In just 7 days, Ark made their way to the castle. The boy insists with determination that anyone who wants must also accept him. Let out a laugh, recalling how Ark's quick use of his shield had saved them during their last encounter. Clearly, she believed it was a good idea for the boy to join them again. Since their last encounter, the girls had improved their skills. At this point, he placed his hopes on Ark, and the hero announced his intention to ready the soldiers for the upcoming journey, but the main character quickly intervened, urging him to wait. The hero wondered aloud about what was happening, prompting Ark to mention that he needed to bring up one last question. He wonders about the hero's decision to choose someone who shares no connection with him. Ark met's gaze, immediately sensing the intensity radiating from him. The hero let out another laugh, remarking that if their only challenge was defeating dragons, his team's powerful girls would easily handle it. When it came to the 2 individuals who lacked any heroic abilities, they were considered non-essential. Despite everything, his presence remained strong, and he sensed the force of her power. At first, Ark had dismissed, believing there was nothing remarkable about her. Shared a similar sentiment, acknowledging that although might have forgotten, he still needed to apologize to her. He reached out his hand, determined to make amends the proper way. However, as the hero attempted this gesture, a shadow crossed his face as if he was summoning a sinister power. Panicked and quickly took cover behind Ark, prompting the boy to look at her with concern and ask what had startled her. The main character offered an apology to the hero, explaining that the girl was extremely shy. Responded with disappointment, remarking that it was unfortunate. The hero observed that he might have increased the girl's anxiety and expressed his own regret. At the same time, the number displayed on the stone she held surged dramatically. Down the road, horses continued to draw the carts along their path. Ark observed that their group had grown significantly larger, a fact acknowledged with a nod. At that moment, the girl remembered she hadn't told the boy an important detail. The next dragon awaited them in the Kazan Valley. The area was known to be extremely hazardous, encircled by towering boulders, and many people whispered about a strange, unexplained roar echoing from deep within the valley. Because the journey is longer, the group plans to pause in 2 different cities before reaching their destination, so they have packed plenty of provisions. Expresses regret for involving her in the trip, but she trusts that has a purpose for staying by her side. Feeling timid, promises to try her hardest and says sorry about what happened when they last met. The girl lets out a light laugh, reassuring that everything is fine, and admits she was probably startled by someone unfamiliar. Liked to think of himself as a hero, yet beneath that bold image, he was simply someone who genuinely wanted to help those around him. Ark drifted into sleep, but soon a gentle shake roused him. Stood beside him, announcing that they had finally arrived at the city. They needed to find a place to rest, so they headed for an inn, but the boy wondered about the whereabouts of the rest of their group. Clarifies that, and the rest of the team have already left. Ark recalled the way Wei had acted. Previously, someone had supported him and encouraged him to become a member of the squad. He feels disappointed that they went ahead and left him behind this time. The boy made their way toward a nearby inn. Inside a room, Fanon turned to, seeking her opinion. Confused, wondered what topic he was referring to. Fanon then clarified that he was talking about the one whom the hero had rescued. Recalls the event clearly, as she had experienced it firsthand. His younger sister often admits that she doesn't understand what is happening, yet whenever is nearby, an uncomfortable strangeness settles over her. A quiet sadness seems to well up within her, making everything feel off. She worried that a strange power might be lurking inside her, though dismissed the concern as unimportant. Yet, also sensed that something was amiss, as if she didn't truly belong in this world. Fanon began to panic and pleaded with her sister to calm down, reminding her that she had already devoted herself to supporting the hero. With a shaky voice, apologized and agreed that her sister made a good point. They both realized they needed to put all their effort into the quest to find the dragon for the hero's sake. At the same time, Laura experienced an odd sensation herself. Laura felt completely lost in her thoughts, unable to understand her own mind. Despite her confusion, she had pledged unwavering loyalty to the hero, and in return, the goddess Astarte had granted her a special power as a blessing. Despite everything, the hero gave off a frightening presence. The boy found himself questioning this strange sensation, considering if it might be the dragon's influence. However, he soon realized it was actually the girl's aura that unsettled him. He was confident in his ability to defeat her whenever he wished, yet an inexplicable force kept him from acting. Opened her eyes in the room, and gazed intently at the stone in her hand. Questioned whether he would be chosen alongside her. Suddenly the number displayed on the stone soared higher. As someone shouted for Ark, he reacted with surprise. The voice was unfamiliar to him, yet a towering person expressed gratitude for keeping her safe. She apologized to him. The main character slowly regained consciousness, feeling disoriented. Strange dreams had been haunting his sleep recently. Without warning, entered the room and greeted him with a cheerful good morning. She announced that she had something interesting to share and extended her hand, revealing a stone with shifting numbers, now displaying 21. Excitement radiated from her as she explained how energized she felt whenever she held the stone. Observing her, the boy realized she appeared much healthier and livelier than when they had first encountered each other. As he looked closer, he noticed something unusual. Was no longer dressed in her travel attire. She confirmed his observation, mentioning that she had gone to meet, curious about the day's plans. Explained that the hero had warned them the journey ahead would take a long time, which was why they were spending some time relaxing in the city. Meanwhile, believed there was plenty to prepare, but she felt confused about what exactly needed to be done. Ark pointed out that only he and the girls remained, suggesting they take the opportunity to explore the city together. The girls eagerly agreed, their excitement evident. At the same time, inside the inn, the hero and Laura sat quietly, both lost in deep meditation. And Fanon observed closely, their faces filled with concern as they tried to figure out whether Laura was all right. The previous night, Laura appeared to be unraveling in a way none of them had ever witnessed before. Wanted to know if Fanon recalled the events of the previous night, and Fanon confirmed that she did. Although the hero had returned, it seemed as if none of that was important anymore. The hero reassured Laura, letting her know that she was safe. Their bodies still intertwined, suddenly transformed into a shadowy figure, giving the impression that he was on the verge of engulfing Laura. Was overcome with panic, her whole body trembling as her heartbeat sped up. Once the meditation session ended, the hero looked around and inquired about the next volunteer, reminding everyone they needed to regain their strength before facing another fight. Fanon eagerly expressed her desire to take the next turn at meditating, her enthusiasm shining through. The hero responded with a warm laugh, finding Fanon's eagerness endearing. Observed the scene, trying to understand the pain she was experiencing. She wonders whether the feeling she has is because of envy toward her sister. Although she didn't have any romantic interest in the hero, an unexplainable emotion seemed to surge within her. Laura noticed looking unsettled and checked on her well-being with a concerned glance. The girl assures everyone that she is all right, explaining that her mind was simply wandering. She wondered aloud about Laura's health, and Laura assured her that she was doing better. Laura then remarked on how enigmatic the hero seemed to be. Spending time around him always seemed to change whenever his gaze shifted in her direction. They gazed at them, their eyes filled with gentle kindness. The feeling brought a comforting warmth, as if the heart were gently embraced. Fanon soon loses interest in meditating, prompting to turn to and wonder if it is her turn next. Responds with a nod, indicating that she is indeed up next. An arc wandered through the bustling city streets, enjoying delicious snacks as they walked together. An elderly woman approached, expressing her happiness that had enjoyed the meal. The boy wondered aloud if the old lady had created it, and she responded with a quiet nod. Ark remarked that the city felt incredibly laid back. He pointed out how much greenery surrounded them and mentioned that the sounds of birds could easily be heard. Ever since the legendary hero returned from his travels, everything had started to spiral out of control. All the sounds around seemed amplified, filling the air with an unusual intensity. The elderly woman wished for the city to return to its former calm and serenity. At her words, Ark grew uneasy, expressing his fear that everything might return to the way things were in the past. Noticing Ark's anxious response, the old woman's face filled with concern as she questioned his reaction and wondered about the boy's true identity. At that moment, the main character revealed a surprising truth. He was also a member of the hero's squad. The elderly woman stared in utter disbelief, her mouth dropping open in shock. Meanwhile, Ark revealed that the goddess Astarte had chosen them. The old woman remarked that such a fate seemed especially tough for someone so young. Suddenly, she surprised them by questioning whether was Ark's younger sister. Ark responded with a wide grin, explaining that their relationship was nearly the same. The elderly woman continued to explain that the skill ceremony could be rather intense. Her family had received the power to create desserts, yet there were times when the sugary treats became overwhelming. At that moment, however, everyone was forced to trust completely in the hero, who promised to turn the world on its head. At the same time, the hero struggled to control the fierce and unpredictable energy that possessed. He directs the other two girls to leave. The group quickly makes their exit, visibly unsettled by what just happened. In their minds, images of unleashing uncontrollable power swirl around. Anxiety takes hold of the girls as they sense their composure slipping away. Meanwhile, confidently announces her unwavering loyalty to the hero. The entire group decides to place their complete trust in the hero, fully committing to follow. Ark's thoughts began to wander as he slipped into a daydream, but quickly pulled him back to reality. They wondered aloud whether it was time to return to the inn. As they made their way, they unexpectedly encountered some well-known acquaintances. Fanon and Laura appeared, looking as though they had just finished a training session with. The two girls mentioned that they were heading to their own room. Arks asked about whereabouts. With mischievous smiles, the girls suggested that was likely still spending time with the hero. As Ark thought about, an unsettling feeling washed over him. He spun around and began to walk away, mentioning that he had to leave. Immediately insisted on tagging along, but the boy refused, telling her they needed to go their separate ways for the time being. The main character was left feeling uneasy and confused by the situation. As darkness settled across the city, questioned whether would manage to stay composed during their meditation session. He remarked that she had been in tears after the other girls had departed, and he was curious about the reason behind her sudden emotions. Soon after, the hero arrived, announcing that he had just come up with an idea. Drawing closer, he revealed his proposal. Once this battle was over, they should get married. He envisioned her ruling alongside him as his wife, beloved by the people, and able to enjoy a life of peace. In addition, by staying together, the group could practice daily meditation and continue to grow stronger. Ark walked in to find the hero and together began to speak, but then hesitated, admitting that she wasn't ready to marry the hero yet. The man's expression suddenly becomes shadowed and serious. He reminded her of the promise she had made to follow his instructions. It became clear that she had never expected a wedding or anything similar. Speaking quietly, wondered aloud about what was going on with. He questioned whether she was concerned about the other 3 people, and thought to himself that if that were true, he had no intention of marrying everyone involved. He wondered aloud if the topic might have something to do with a friend from childhood. Ark rushed into the room, determined to rescue. He nearly collided with, catching her off guard. The girl, surprised, questioned the reason for his hurried pace. He explained that he was searching for and wondered if had seen her anywhere. Smiled, revealing that was currently in a strategy meeting with the hero. Ark could hardly believe what she was hearing, realizing that plans were being made to defeat the dragon. She explains that she is also anticipating the hero's arrival, though he has not appeared so far. A tightness settled in the boy's chest as he remembered the strategy meeting. Wondered aloud if he wanted to head inside, mentioning that the others were likely caught up in work. Ark wondered aloud if the other person planned to join as well. She declined, assuring Ark that she was fine, but suggested that if he felt uneasy, he could look in the back room. The main character paused at the door, sensing something unsettling in the air. He wondered if his thoughts were making things more complicated than they needed to be, especially since played such a significant role in the ongoing battle. Without warning, a sound from within the room catches his attention. The boy leaps into the air, his voice ringing out in sharp, desperate cries. He found himself puzzled, wondering how this could possibly be a strategy meeting when the door remained wide open. Suddenly appears behind Ark and wonders aloud if he plans to enter. She encouraged him to take a look, suggesting he could discover something amazing inside. Ark found himself unable to move his hands, and no sound came from his lips. He continued to hear the screams echoing from within. He grew increasingly nervous about the situation. Ark suddenly collapses to his knees, confusion written across his face as he turns to, silently seeking an explanation for what is happening. The girl explains that this is their true identity. In the presence of the hero, those around him acted like cheerful, obedient followers. The boy recalls, picturing her warm smile in his mind. He remembers the moment when she promised to wait for him, hoping he would become her husband one day. He questioned how he could have sacrificed so much, only to find himself left with nothing. He turned to and mentioned he wanted to ask her something. Agreed, but insisted she wanted to share some gossip afterward. The boy then pondered whether Fanon and Laura felt the same way about the guy as he did. At this point, both girls have settled comfortably on the ground, relaxing together. Confidently claims she knows the answer, but insists she can't be blamed for how the boy feels. Ark cautiously steps away, admitting he understands her point. He also observes that everyone around them appears to be caught up in their own activities. He prepared to head back to his room, eager for some rest. Shortly afterward, he arrived at the inn where he was staying. Welcomed him warmly, her cheerful expression lighting up the entrance. Despite her smile, worry flickered in her eyes. She inquired about Ark's condition, clearly concerned. Observing his exhausted appearance, she remarked that he looked as if he had just finished running a marathon. His voice faded into the background, barely making an impression on him. Exhausted, the boy collapsed onto the bed. He reflects on his lack of ability to connect with the hero and questions the point of continuing to struggle. He questions whether his actions are driven by the continent's expectations or if they revolve around the goddess Astarte. Thoughts of the hero cross his mind, making him consider if that's his true motivation. Suddenly, he realizes the real reason. The hero has taken something precious from him. Deep down, all he desires is to return to the way things were before. He shared a close bond with the girls, forming a dependable circle of friends. Alongside them, he often found himself doubled over with laughter, especially when was around. The boy believes that God is acting unjustly, feeling as though everyone close to him is gradually disappearing. He had failed to rescue anyone, and now every one of them was gone, resting alongside the hero. With nothing and no one left for him to defend, the boy found himself wondering if he should let go during the upcoming fight. The team resumed their journey, alert to rumors of monsters prowling close to the city, which meant they needed to be extra cautious. Fanon reassured everyone, insisting they would make sure no monster got away unharmed. Her older sister confidently agreed with her plan, added that their special abilities, which tied them to the hero, would ensure victory in any battle they faced. The man grinned, noting how the girl was starting to show more confidence. She appeared fully prepared to face off against the dragon. A strange sensation lingered in the air. Unlike before, the monsters showed no interest in attacking at all. Inside the cart, examined her stone, noticing once more that its numbers were rapidly changing. Fanon speculated that the monsters might be avoiding them because they feared the hero, and he felt relieved that the journey remained uneventful. Remains aware that the monsters continue to hide nearby, watching from the shadows. He sensed their presence nearby, yet noticed they weren't coming any closer. Although people might still fear his abilities, there was something noticeably changed about the atmosphere compared to earlier. He figured the most likely reason was that mysterious young girl. He had found her somewhere, and after witnessing the events from the previous night, he was certain she possessed unusual abilities. Someone summoned the hero, who wondered aloud if a monster was involved. However, it turned out they had simply arrived at their intended destination. Wounded guards flung the doors open, expressing gratitude to the kingdom's reinforcements and assuring them that safety had been restored. Spotted the advance party and expressed regret for the delay. Although they were meant to depart sooner, the soldier reassured him that everything was fine. The hero acknowledges the truth of the statement. Surrounded by the wounded, it was clear that monsters lurked nearby. Climbed down from the cart and checked on Ark, concerned for his well-being. As she did, the hero could only gaze at her in silence. That evening, suggested to the girls that they should gather together and brainstorm a stronger strategy for defeating the dragon, and the girls readily agreed to join him. The main character grew anxious, prompting him to reach out to the hero for help. The hero, caught off guard, questioned the sudden concern. Ark then explained that he had a favor to ask. He wished to speak with Alone, feeling there was an important message he needed to share. The rest of the girls observed with clear interest, their curiosity evident. Appeared unsure, her expression marked by confusion. The hero reassured everyone, explaining that unexpected thoughts were nothing unusual, especially with the important competition happening the following day. Ark expressed his gratitude and mentioned that would return to the strategy meeting. The boy offered an apology too, suggesting she relax in the room for a while. He showed unwavering determination to start a conversation with. The boy expressed his gratitude to the girl for granting what he believed was his final wish, prompting her to question his choice of words and wonder why he considered it a last request. Before the fight began, Ark expressed his desire to hear something truly significant from her. In the quiet room, the two of them came together, and the girl turned to him, curious about the sudden reason he had for wanting to talk to her. Noticed that sweat was pouring down his face, and he questioned whether he was feeling all right. The boy expresses his desire to discuss what happened the previous evening. He caught the sound of her screams coming from his room. The girl jolted in surprise, completely unprepared for anyone to be eavesdropping. Realizing what the boy had overheard, she began to panic about what had just happened. She firmly denies that she is the person in question, and makes it clear that following the hero is not a matter of her own choice. Without warning, thoughts of unsettling presence crept into her mind, suggesting in a hushed tone that this was the true. Her natural instincts began to take over. Ark began to question whether the girl had been secretly conspiring with. The boy expressed his pain, feeling as though the intensity might shatter him. Had always been the source of his strength, the reason he found the courage to persevere. He had now lost Laura, Fanon, and even each one taken from him by that arrogant hero. Saw them as nothing more than tools for his amusement. Ark began to perspire heavily, his anxiety increasing with every passing moment. Memories of mocking him as a loser resurfaced in his mind, heightening his unease. Indicated her understanding of the boy's point, then wondered aloud about his true intentions toward her. The boy felt overwhelmed by his emotions and realized he could no longer keep her safe. He believed that as long as she and the others stayed close to and relied on the hero for protection, his presence was unnecessary. With that, he decided to stop using his abilities. The boy explained that he had finished saying what was on his mind. He remembered how she used to give him warm smiles in the past. Suddenly, moved closer and showed him the expression she once had. The boy wondered aloud if she still needed to see the hero. In response, the girl gave a simple nod. As events continue to develop, she senses a pull from the boy's heart reaching out to her. Ark looked puzzled, unable to grasp what was being said. With now standing beside her, the girl wrapped Ark in a gentle, comforting embrace. She acknowledges that her attention had been completely absorbed by the dragon and the hero, leaving her oblivious to how Ark might have felt. She realizes there's no way to justify her actions lately, yet whenever she is close to Ark, she becomes aware of his warmth and gentle nature. She appeared as if a cherished memory, now lost, suddenly resurfaced in her mind. Without any warning, the girl moved closer and pressed her lips to Ark's in a sudden kiss. She tells him that this must be where things finish for the two of them, making it clear that she truly means every word. She gives Ark a final choice, forcing him to decide. Caught off guard, Ark moves away in surprise and demands to know her reasons for doing this. He mentions that since she has by her side now, he's no longer involved in her life. He believes she should move forward and enjoy her happy ending with the person who rescued her. However, the girl clarifies that actions are not related to any special abilities. The boy's expression twisted with anger as he questioned whether she honestly believed he was okay with the situation. The girl quietly shook her head, denying it. Frustrated, the boy raised his voice, shouting at her. Despite her tears, expresses a longing to stay by his side, seeking solace in his presence. Overwhelmed by confusion and uncertainty, she feels lost and unsure of any other path to take. She remained uncertain about whether the goddess Astarte had truly granted them unique abilities. If that were the case, they ought to have chosen another path. Wondered aloud if Ark shared the same feeling. Ark's mind lingered on the image of the girl's silent tears streaming down her cheeks. The memory of Laura, Fanon, and soon surfaced, crowding his thoughts. Reflected that none of them had wished for a world filled with such sorrow. She was certain she understood Ark deeply, believing he possessed the strength and wisdom to guide everyone toward a better future and escape their current troubles. Because of this, she feels the need to be absolutely certain. Ark finds himself captivated by the unique energy the girl gives off. At that moment, wonders aloud if Ark is interested in discovering her real personality. The girl confidently announces her willingness to reveal her authentic self to him. She doubts his ability to accomplish anything, while he is overwhelmed by anger. She hoped he would release all his emotions at that moment. Nervously, Ark began to cry as the weight of everything overwhelmed him. Demanded that he unleash his anger onto her instead. The boy nodded in agreement, determined to reveal his true emotions to her through his actions. The discussion about the Demon King and the hero seemed completely unbelievable to everyone. Ark's eyes widened as words about wanting to help others echoed in his mind. He swung his arm towards face, but at the last moment his fingers unfurled. Instead of striking, Ark wrapped his arms around his friend, embracing her with warmth. The girl observes his gentle and thoughtful nature. The boy reminded her that he had already mentioned being a pacifist. She responded with a laugh, assuring him that she remembered. Later, they spent the evening relaxing together, passing the time with a card game. As the night went on, their bond grew stronger. Before the evening ended, expressed how truly happy she felt. The boy admitted that he had thought she enjoyed spending time with more. She wraps her arms around him, expressing that, for the moment, she prefers not to dwell on those thoughts. She expresses that her feelings for him are deep, explaining that his presence gives her comfort and security. Meanwhile, in a different room, the girls realize is missing and begin to speculate about what she might be doing with Ark. Reflected on the fact that the ultimate showdown would take place the next day, leading him to believe that the pair was simply taking some time to relax and enjoy each other's company before the big event. found herself questioning whether was truly forming a bond with Ark. The hero believed that, even if she did have feelings for him, she was far from unaware of the situation. Laura adds her thoughts, noting that Ark appears to lack motivation in addition to everything else. The girls could hardly believe he had allowed to spend time alone with Ark. He explained that it wouldn't make a difference if they met, since he believed Ark wouldn't survive the upcoming fight. He mentioned that was expected to return soon. Felt uneasy, fearing that Ark might influence decisions. The hero abruptly told her to calm down and move closer. Wrapped in the shadows of his dark magic, the man pulled close, determined to make her understand that her safety depended on him alone. At this moment, was nothing more than a piece in his game, entirely under his control. He needed to review his abilities one last time before the important confrontation, making sure would be present as well. Ark and committed themselves fully to safeguarding everyone around them, determined to do whatever it took. As they stepped out of Ark's room, expressed her trust in him, relying on him for what lay ahead. The boy sensed a newfound purpose stirring within him, as though he had finally discovered what made life worth living. The girl remarked that nobody comes into the world just to give up, and she held on to the hope that, if they survived, a new future awaited them, so they needed to keep pushing forward. Gratefulness shone in the boy's eyes as he acknowledged her words. The girl reflected fondly on their time together, saying she truly enjoyed playing cards and spending those moments with him. The boy's cheeks flushed with embarrassment as shyness washed over him, while the girl couldn't help but laugh at how he responded. Ark cautioned her to be careful around, explaining that although was celebrated as a hero, he came from another world, and there was something unusual about him. The girl expresses her gratitude for the warning and encourages everyone to put forth their best effort the next day. Inside's room, he criticized her abilities and insisted that she had to improve. Eventually, the day of the ultimate confrontation arrived. They found themselves standing at the valley floor, where picked up a stone and threw it downward. The stone plunged downward, its impact echoing as it brushed against prickly branches below. Summoned Ark's attention, prompting him to inquire about her concern. The girl insists that returning safely is essential for them. The boy nodded enthusiastically, convinced that everything was going according to plan. The young man turned too, questioning whether his presence was truly necessary. Despite the conversation, the hero observed no noticeable difference, though he sensed power beginning to activate at that very moment. His heroic instincts remained constantly vigilant. His power had clearly awakened, yet she remained unaware of its existence or how to harness it. She would likely understand once she stood directly before the dragon. However, if Ark remained uncertain, he could choose to leave, knowing that would still support. The young man asserted his intention to keep her safe and showed no sign of retreat. Without warning, wrapped her arms around him in a sudden embrace. The girl wondered aloud about the source of his concern, reminding him that as her guardian he needed to stay alert. Ark nodded in agreement, assuring her that he would take care of things. At the same time, Fanon reached out to contact her sister. Fanon wondered how could befriend Ark, someone who lacked any hero powers, especially since had apparently already lost hope in him. Advised her sister against making such remarks, reminding her of Ark's impressive performance in their previous fight. Both girls acknowledged that Ark's shield had been reliable before, but they worried aloud that this dragon seemed far more powerful, casting doubt on whether even Ark's shield would be enough now. Ark believed she was correct, suspecting that perhaps his previous success had been nothing more than a stroke of luck. However, there was a chance that this effort would fall short. Sais catch sight of an unusual movement nearby. Wondered aloud if anything was going on. The man replied that he believed he had seen someone nearby. Raising his voice, he tried to get the attention of the people he noticed. When those individuals turned around, they immediately recognized the hero among them. Awe spread through the group as they realized this was the team challenging the dragon. A soldier questioned whether those individuals belonged to the teams sent to track down the dragon. One of the men confirmed that they did. The hero gazed at the magnificent white dragon, deep in thought. He realized that the people facing the beast stood little chance of making it out alive. The majority of them would likely perish in the fight. The two who managed to stay alive seemed frozen in disbelief. They had been powerless, forced to witness their companions being utterly destroyed. After the dragon appeared, new shapes and silhouettes began to emerge in the scene. Unfamiliar monsters started trailing after the strange creature, catching the group off guard. Realizing the danger, they attempted to retreat and deliver a warning to the kingdom. Wondered whether the monsters had attacked during their escape, and the young man confirmed it, explaining that they were the only ones who survived. Tears streaming down his face, the soldier expressed deep gratitude for the hero's timely arrival. Ark stands motionless, overwhelmed by the sight before him. He realizes that, without any powers connected to the hero, he feels incredibly vulnerable. Without warning, approached him. She reached out, gently taking his hand in hers, and reassured him that everything would be all right. A gentle warmth surrounded him, bringing a sense of comfort. Ark questioned in his mind whether this sensation was the power you had mentioned earlier. Offered a friendly smile in Ark's direction. The hero then turned to the survivor, inquiring about the monsters' whereabouts, and the survivor nodded in confirmation that the creatures were indeed gone. Not long ago, the area buzzed with activity, but things had gone eerily silent in the past day. It almost seemed like everyone sensed the arrival of a hesitant hero, yet there was an underlying fear that the dragon might reappear. Acknowledged the soldiers, warning with a grateful nod, promising to assign guards for their protection. With preparations complete, he signaled to his group that it was time to set out. The rescued group expressed deep gratitude for the assistance they received. Among them, one individual warned the hero to remain cautious and stay alert for potential danger. As the dragon made its appearance, the monsters emerged as well, eager to join the chaos. While leaving, acknowledged the warning and mentally noted it. He believed that worrying about the monsters likely wouldn't be necessary. With supporting them this time, the battle seemed unlike any previous encounter. Perhaps that was the reason the monsters remained calm for the moment. Anticipated that the fight would end quickly. His abilities far surpassed his expectations, growing stronger at a rapid pace, almost as if she were gaining experience points in a game. At the moment, her loyalty meant she was an asset to their group, but the possibility of her turning against them in the future was a frightening thought. The group moved further among the jagged stones as an unusual cold wind brushed past them. Suddenly, shouted for Ark's attention and gestured urgently. Standing behind them was an enormous white dragon. The hero recoiled in surprise, stunned by the sight of the creature. In an instant, chaos erupts as the creature charges toward Ark, and Ark quickly reaches for his shield. At the same time, urgent cries fill the air, signaling the danger. Acting on instinct, Ark positions himself in front of to protect her. Without thinking, his abilities activate. He recovers from the assault by. He struck the dragon's paw with great force. Ark shouted at the group, urging everyone to move quickly and bring down the dragon. Unsheathed her massive sword, expressing her gratitude to Ark for creating an opportunity. The girls braced themselves as the creature prepared to attack again, determined not to let it succeed. Urgently called out to Fanon, urging him to take action before the dragon could change form once more. The creature suddenly unleashed a new, frenzied assault. Fanon responded with flawless precision, landing a direct hit inside the dragon's open jaws. The arrow struck the dragon's face and erupted in a burst of energy. Ark observed that everyone around him seemed far more impressive and powerful than before, which made him suspect that the hero might be the reason for their growth. Meanwhile, watched the scene unfold, thinking the dragon didn't realize just how formidable his team had become. At that moment, he swiftly draws his enchanted sword. The hero suddenly wields the mighty weapon, and in that instant the dragon recognizes his true identity. The figure standing before them was the very hero spoken of in ancient tales. Delivered a well-aimed blow that defeated the dragon, just as a shield formed from fury and shadows appeared to block the Demon King. As they made their way back home, the crowd burst into laughter, dismissing the white dragon as unimpressive. Ark felt his muscles tighten, the weight of surviving yet another ordeal pressing down on him. Felt a surge of excitement as she reflected on how impressive the boy had been during the fight, realizing for the first time just how powerful he truly was. Nodded in agreement, mentioning that his shield had protected him once more and that he felt much more powerful now. Unable to contain his excitement, energetically expressed that seemed cheerful too. Ark sensed the growing excitement all around and expressed his gratitude too, but before anyone could react further, an unexpected event suddenly unfolded. A sudden, thunderous blast erupts, taking the boy by surprise. Shocked by the abrupt assault, he begins to panic, his nerves unraveling as fear sets in.